Green light on. Okay, good evening, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to the RSU 14 Windham Raymond School District Board of Directors meeting. Today is Wednesday, December 1st, 2021. The time of the meeting is 6:30 and we are in the Windham Town Council chambers. May I have a roll call, please?
Kate Bricks,
Here?
Jessica Bridges,
Here.
Jenny Butler,
Here.
Marge Gavoni,
Yeah.
Pete Hensler, Char Jewell,
Here.
Kate Levier,
Here.
Scott McLean, Mike McClellan, Al Potter. Here.
All set? Will you please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance led by Shar?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. We have one slight amendment to the agenda. I wanted us all to take a moment to reflect and recognize the tragedy that occurred in Oxford, Michigan a few days ago. Those lives lost and those injured and traumatized ripples across not only their community but also ours. So I want to take a moment to recognize them, remember them, and just take a moment of silence. Thank you.
Thank you, Shar. Any other adjustments to the agenda?
Sure, there is one other adjustment to the agenda. When we'd sent the agenda out, we thought at the time that we were going to be able to have, in addition to some of the tech from Mamma Mia, but also some of the cast members from Mamma Mia, but many are also chamber singers and have a final rehearsal tonight for AmFam on Saturday. So they decided that dress rehearsal and final was better than us. So we will bring them back at a future time.
Terrific. We're going to start out. It's my great pride and pleasure to welcome the girls' soccer team. We have the team before us here, and thank you, girls, for attending. And Rich Drummond, if you could come up and give a little spiel about these wonderful ladies.
Well, it's pretty easy to talk about these ladies and Deb LaBelle. I can tell you that this girls' soccer team, not only were they dominant soccer players, but they were great students, they're good ambassadors of the school, and they're just overall great people. As far as their soccer accolades, 19-0, SMAA conference champions, 2021 Southern Maine regional champions, and of course the ultimate goal that every kid strives for in a fall season in regards to athletics. They were state champs in Class A for 2021. The thing about these girls that I really think of is humility really comes to mind. And what I mean by that is they had some games this fall that I was worried about a little bit. Not if we'd win, but how much we were going to win by. For me, playing the game and being a part of athletics class and integrity and respect is a big piece of that. And sometimes when you open the newspaper and you see a score of, especially in soccer, school X has 17 and school Y has 0, that's tough. This team not only, kept playing, and they created games inside the game where they had weaker opponents. They still did things to keep the score respectable, but also prepping for their next opponent. So humility really strikes a key with me with that. But also that starts a little bit at the top down with Coach LaBelle. That's who she is as a person. So thank you, girls, for that. The citizenship piece as far as the school walls, I can tell you unless something happened and our principal's here and something was swept under the rug, I don't think that happened, but I received nothing as far as any redirection that any of these kids needed from myself or from Coach LaBelle. And that includes within the school, but also out into the community. So for that, that's another piece of the puzzle. So not only are they good soccer players, they're good citizens. And the last piece that really kind of sums it all up is their academics. They are very, very smart kids. They do well in the classroom. They know that this is just really a stop in the pipeline and there's other big things ahead of them. And they realize that the academic component is really just an extension of the classroom. So this is, we've had a great fall overall. This is the ultimate goal, what everybody strives for. So I'd just like to congratulate them. It means a lot. You make my job easier. All the fall athletes, it was my job. It wasn't easy, but they made it easier. But I'd like to have Deb come forward to say a few words. And then I have a student athlete that'd like to say a few words, and then we can wrap it up. So Deb, feel free.
Thanks so much for honoring this team tonight. It's nice to be recognized by the school board. It's very evident that the school board puts a great deal of thought and resources into all the extracurricular activities at the school, and we really appreciate that. Your support is greatly appreciated throughout the entire school. I'd now like to announce the team. Riley Russell, Elizabeth Levesque, Mallory Muse, Ashley Clark, Abby Thornton, Elizabeth Talbot, Kayla Flanders, Sarah Talon, Emily Talbot, Hannah Lee, Tiana Salzar, Amelia Mortero, Ashley Sawyer, Stella Jarvis, Pia Trey, Kylie Garrison, Eliza Trafford, Kyla Harvey, and Caitlin Marsh. Great job. I'd now like to introduce senior Sarah Talon, who'd like to say a few words.
First off, on behalf of the Windham High School girls varsity soccer team, I'd like to thank everyone who supported us this season. It started back in youth soccer with coaches who inspired us to get where we are today. I'd also like to thank our parents, school board, and community. Their endless support inspired us to work hard and achieve this goal of becoming state champs. Thank you.
So that's our 2021 state championship team. And I tell you, if you look at success, and there's all kinds of different things you can measure it on, but this group of ladies, they have the total package. They're good kids, they're good people, they're good citizens, students, and they're pretty darn good soccer players as well. So congratulations, girls. I'm very, very proud of you.
Thank you, ladies. You have really made the RSU 14 community so proud, and we're so happy that you were able to join us today. It's impressive, all of your accomplishments, and we wish you well in the future. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I wanted to add an accolade of role model, and a very positive role model. I have a daughter who's 10 and plays travel soccer and plays Roosevelt soccer, and man, did she love going to games. And I think she knows everyone's name and was cheering for all of you. And so thank you all for being such wonderful role models for those little kiddos that you may not realize are really keeping their eye on you. So amazing job. Thank you.
Bravo. Thanks again. Did you? Yeah, well, you are welcome to stay. Thank you.
Great job, girls. Thank you.
While they're departing, before we get into public input, I wanted to refresh everyone what our guidelines are. We might have some new folks who are not familiar with our public participation guidelines, and I don't want anyone to be confused about how we're operating. I want to be very clear. Our policy is at the back of the room if anyone would like a copy of it. That's kind of the framework that I'm going by. So let me begin. Each person will be allowed 3 minutes for public comment at the beginning of the meeting. Kate will be the timekeeper, and we are firm about the 3 minutes. While it feels harsh to cut off comments at the 3-minute mark, we want to be consistent for all those who choose to comment. I know you will be respectful of the time limits. Public comment is not an opportunity for an interactive exchange with the administration or board members. The board and administration will listen and consider all comments, but there will be no response at the meeting. We want to have adequate time to consider questions and provide accurate responses. All questions will be followed up by either an email or by phone, whichever you prefer. We have a sign-in sheet at the podium right up there where you will be speaking if you would like to request a response. So just jot your name and your email. I think a lot of you know the drill. Christine Frost-Burtonay will keep track of the questions as best as she possibly can. We may miss one or two, but we'll do our best to try to accumulate all the questions. I think we're extremely responsive to questions and emails we receive, and we try to get back to everyone as quickly as possible. This is not the venue to discuss individual staff members. We have a policy, KED, public complaints about school personnel, which outlines our process for dealing with complaints about staff. Gossip, defamatory comments, and abusive, vulgar, or threatening language are not permitted. The chair has the prerogative to stop public comment if this rule is violated or would violate the privacy interests of any individual. As we move past public comment into the agenda items, any opportunities for public comment are specifically noted. We will again adhere to the 3-minute rule. All comments for an agenda item must be related to the motion. I hope I outlined it pretty clearly. That being said, we welcome public comment. Who would like to be first?
Hi, I'm Kristen Day. We've talked a lot about the survey that went out to the middle school students. I believe updating the school board policy teaching about controversial and sensitive issues will prevent future incidents like this. I understand from my communication with Superintendent Howell that moving forward, it is his intention that administration will make sure that all parents are properly informed of topics of a sensitive nature. While I appreciate this, intentions are not policy that he or future administrators will have as guidance or be bound to. I would like to request that this board, as our representatives in our children's education, make an opportunity to review and update this policy. The policy is pretty general. It uses broad language and includes differing political, religious, moral, or ethical beliefs, and also sincerely held religious, moral, or philosophical beliefs. It does not specify how Superintendent Howell should administer the education of social issues, including human sexuality, which was the first question on that survey. The policy does not outline sensitive issues at all. It does not specify how surveys are to be handled that contain sensitive issues. An updated policy should have a comprehensive list of specific controversial or sensitive issues. Most organizations have such a list. My experience has been with Girl Scouts, and this is a sensitive issues permission form. Sensitive issues listed here include AIDS, child abuse, eating disorders, family crises, divorce, poverty and death, human trafficking, substance abuse, mental health, human sexuality, including alternative lifestyles, teen pregnancy, domestic violence, suicide, and other. So this is just one example, and I am sure that there are many resources available for this board to consider in potentially updating their language. Parents would be a good source for input as well. For example, Chris's language to properly inform parents is not reassuring. Parents do not want to be informed that their child will be introduced to sensitive issues. We want to be asked permission. We want the option to give informed consent. If this district wants to collect information on our children in a survey, the communication to parents should include the source of the survey, the specific content and questions, who will have access to the data, for what specific purpose it will be used. I have other examples I'll include in my email as a follow-up because I'm running short on time. But the bottom line is parents need reassurance that this board takes this seriously, and updating the policy is step one. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else?
Hello, my name is Carrie Grant, a resident in Windham. So it's been 3 months since the reopening of school. And in those 3 months, I, like many of us, have paid close attention to the COVID community updates. I reached out to some of the parents whose children who have experienced nonsensical quarantines after my daughter specifically was placed on a quarantine just 3 short days into school. Her quarantine was to include no classroom attendance and no sports. Some of the students who were close contacts, all having the same vaccination status, were all placed on different quarantines. Some could attend school and some couldn't. How does that make sense? Same vaccination status. I emailed this question on the 7th of September to all of the board members here on the board, current, not Jessica, but board members who were current in September, with no reply except from Rich Drummond, who merely explained the times that the teams may have interacted, hence why she was being quarantined. She missed out on school, most importantly, when she shouldn't have. I would like an answer as to why this happened. My other question is, moving forward, pending that this vaccine is not mandated in public schools, will unvaccinated students continue to be placed on these ridiculous, discriminatory quarantines and miss out on school? If so, how is that success for all?
Anyone else?
Excuse me. I'll do this after. I'm Dr. Robin Frost, I'm resident in Windham. Pardon me, I gave blood today, so I may be a little kind of lethargic, but so I had asked a question specifically in regards to the application for grant money and in regards to the rescue plan for elementary and secondary school emergency release fund. I did receive a response as that I would be getting information from Mr. Howell, thank you. I really do not want a response that has anything to do with any personal explanation of what's going on. I'd rather just have documentation. And documentation is that I'd like to have.
I brought it.
Oh, thank you.
It has everything but ESSER. I'm sorry. I know it's not supposed to interact, but
Jump in there.
Okay.
it has everything.
And does that
but
have
ESSER
that?
3 because it hasn't been approved yet.
Thank you. And that is actually the application that you guys submitted? Thank you very much. Okay. I will look over these documents because my concerns are that the proposal through the Department of Education with this relief plan did pose an application deadline of June 7th. And we did not even know as parents that, and within this emergency relief fund, there are mandatory guidelines. And I know that you stated prior to an answer to a question that the guidelines, these guidelines of universal masking and testing and so on are not mandatory for you to continue to maintain these grants. But within what they presented through the U.S. Department of Education with this rescue plan was that you would have to agree to, number one, universal masking, two, in order to sign off on and apply for these grants. I do understand that these grants were applied for singly from the state of Maine. I get that. And I hope to find in here that if there's a single application for this school district, that I guess my question would be, and I guess I will ask that later, would be why, if after I look over this documentation, why was it that when you signed this application in June 7th, that you didn't propose to the parents that you were considering the option, or considering that you were proposing that universal masking be implemented? And the second thing I have, and I don't really know if I need a response because I don't think you really know right now, but updated today, not today, June 29th in the CDC site, it says everybody ages 18 and older should get a booster shot. So what that's doing is, as per the CDC, is going to be changing the guidelines on who is considered fully vaccinated. So if I have any question at all, would be that how do you intend to handle this, given that now it's going to be that there are people that are considered fully vaccinated that will not be considered fully vaccinated, and again, how you handle the quarantine of the unvaccinated versus the vaccinated. And as it goes on with the different variants and they add additional booster doses, how that will influence the impact of the fact that again, are they fully vaccinated? And where do we draw the line? Are we going to continue to give booster shots for every different variant, and then you are considered fully vaccinated and you will get out of your unvaccinated and unquarantined status? And I guess that will, you don't really need to respond. I will wait to see what it says, and then I'll re-ask that question. I want you to consider it, though, please.
Thank you.
Yep.
I wore the blue for the soccer team.
Good
Hi,
job.
everybody. I'm Stephen Napolitano. Thank you for your time. I believe all of you here care about our school and our students, and so I just want everybody to keep in mind that we are representing the students. We have one student here, right? Okay. So with that said, it's nothing personal. We're trying to solve something here, and I hope we do come together to have a better solution. Before I left tonight, my daughter asked me, she watched the meeting 2 weeks ago, and she said, Dad, why is it okay to have mask optional at a school board meeting but not at school? She's pretty smart for a middle school kid, because that's what it is right now. I didn't get into it with her. Maybe you guys can answer that at the end of the meeting or in an email. I know state agencies recommend policy, not set laws. Our school board can set policies regardless of the state recommendation. There are schools in the state of Maine that have chosen optional masking, but not RSU 14. I asked a question, and Mr. Howell's been great. If it's okay if I call you Chris. And he's been great in communicating with me in email. I haven't received the answers that I'd like to receive, but I think we're working on it. So in that respect, but I asked that question, is the school board fear that COVID is more dangerous in school buildings versus in public places? Election day, we had thousands of people that entered the school, mask optional. Okay, maybe COVID wasn't as dangerous that day. We have a board member here that serves on the planning board, wears masks here. On October 26th, did not wear a mask. I watched the meeting. It's kind of confusing. So one board meeting's more dangerous than I don't know. You have to understand, I'm not trying to patronize people. The logic doesn't make sense. Try explaining that to a middle school kid. Faculty members get mask breaks throughout the school day. I think that's great, but I also think the students should as well. Why not have them sit at their desk and take their masks off? Their desks are spread out. We did that all summer in restaurants. It was okay for everybody then, and just have it optional for them. It's hard to go a full day 5 days a week wearing a mask. It's hard. Some students really have a very difficult time. It's very difficult to learn under those circumstances. If that's not the case, if we can't do that, have a vote. Let the parents vote on if they think it's okay or not. That survey that went out, that wasn't put in there. Interesting. Why was that not put in there to ask the students how things are going with masks? Okay, so otherwise, everybody should be wearing masks, including all the faculty from the top to the bottom. If that's the way it's going to be, I mean, if this really about safety, I don't think anybody here wants anybody to get sick. I think we all agree on that. We want the best for the students. And, okay, I guess I'm done. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Good evening, Ken Clark. Thank you for having me. I want to say we did a lot of teacher interviews. I got 2 kids in school and a lot of good teachers here. A lot of good stuff coming back. My kids, very fortunate. They're doing good in school. So a lot of good stuff happening here. There truly is. My daughter happens to be on the soccer team. Proud dad. So anyway, and like Steve said, we're just on a different page, I guess. And our kids, it does get personal because my kids are being affected. I don't know what all the other kids, but it's harder for a kid to speak up to a teacher. This is killing them. It really is. I did ask a bunch of questions at the last meeting. I didn't get emails from anyone, to be honest with you. Chris, you and I have communicated a little bit, but no one else. And I think that was gonna happen. So I am just gonna review. I just got a handout of the questions that I had. Just take one and pass it down. That way it'll be pretty easy for people to know what I had for questions and how we can address them. Or if you could address them for me. The first one, I'm just going to review what I did before because I guess we got to go over again. The first one is that survey, which I think honestly it's just so wrong. It's unbelievable, almost perverted to some degree. I'd like each of you to take the survey, just because you're asking of the kids. I want you to go through it, think about the answers, and as you do that, just note that you can check more than one. If you think you're cisgender or transgender, you can check both of those. Genderqueer means that you do not identify as either male or female. I had to kind of think about that, but that is on the thing. So please answer that. You can hand them in at the next meeting. They can be anonymous if you'd like, or you can put your name on them, and we can talk about them. We can talk about how you think it's going to improve our kids' math, science, their studies, their motivation. Because what I'm seeing as a result of this survey is that the kids are on the playground trying to figure out what their friend is, queer, transgender, or even someone saying, you got to be something, either you're bi or not. So I don't think it's doing any good. So why don't we all lead by example, take the survey, and let's talk about it, or however we have to communicate here. The second question is define prevent. If you look on the 3rd page of the survey, right here, this was a communication that went out to the school, okay, or to the parents, and it says that your child is being offered the Pfizer BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine to prevent COVID, yeah, whatever. Anyway, try to breathe up here. That's not true. It does not prevent the disease. I have been vaccinated. I got COVID. As sure I'm standing in front of you. Just the other day, I have a tenant who's a nurse. She walked up to me with a mask on. I said, what happened? She goes, I got COVID again. I get it again? She goes, yeah, I know she had it before. She had been vaccinated, then got COVID. She's a nurse at Central Maine Medical Center. Then she got the booster, and she got COVID again. And when she got it the second time, she was
sir, your time
3
is
times
up.
sicker than the other time. Okay, just a question. Since my questions didn't get answered last time, could I just have another 3 minutes?
No.
I wouldn't have to be reviewing this if I did it.
Email us.
What's
or
that?
We can review this. But I'm sorry, this is our protocol.
I'm sorry too, you know, I think we can all be educated more. It's a shame. Can you guys consider changing your, the amount of time the public gets to speak? Because this is about our kids. Yeah. It really is. This is not right.
Thank you, sir. Who's next?
Thank you, Kate.
Thank you.
Good Lord. I'll just continue it next time. You don't have to do your homework again.
name is Ken Anderson. I live in Windham, Maine, and I have two children that go to Windham schools. I'm here with my group, Parents' Choice. We can call them a team. I think that's more appropriate. And we support the values of our role as parents of children, whether they're enrolled here or not. As concerned individuals of this great nation and this town of Windham, we are here to hold up our constitutional rights given to us by God. That's right, nature's God, as defined in our Constitution. I am reminded of the truth that our civil rights are directly related to and derived from and essential to the protection of our natural rights. This is in some ways a fight for rights, but more and ultimately it is a fight for right. Dear Lord, may your Spirit move to convict us and look into our hearts and root out any bitterness. Search us, Lord, in order to enrich us through sober reason and cleanse us from all unrighteousness. Fill us with clarity of mind so we do not fail you, Lord. As you pour out your strength to us, may we learn of your riches that await those who seek to live by your truth, your principles, and your standards. Help us to be careful when we move together as a team, for choice is only given to us by you. Grant us, please, Father, the ability to have the power of your word and show us mercy that only you can give. As we are moved and placed in this moment for this cause to defend against these dark forces of the world system, help us to remember to be humble, but not forget to be bold expositors of truth. Redeem us, Lord, sustain us, guide us, and above all else, you cannot lie, you cannot die, and you cannot be and not be at the same time. You give all laws and lines and measurements. All fields and mountains, trees, molecules, atoms, subatomic particles have no place without first the power of your word speaking them into existence. That is right, Lord. Your beauty so bright and your radiance so holy that you cast no shadow when you move. The magnitude of your being causes us to pause and look at you as our only hope. We do not share the attributes of your essence, Lord, for we are created and not begotten. But there is one whose name is above every other name, Jesus Christ, who being in your form, Lord, did not consider it robbery to be equal, but made himself of no reputation, taking the form of a bondservant and coming to live among us in our likeness. As we are here today by your grace, would you teach us to pray? Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be your name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who have trespassed against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the power and the glory forever and ever. Amen.
Sir,
One nation,
your time is
under
over.
God.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate you all.
Anyone else? Let me get my agenda. Seeing none, I'm closing public input. Oh, you didn't pop up.
Barbara Bagshaw, I'm from Windham. I'd just like to say, it's nice to see you all here, and thank you for the work that you do. But you're all appointed, elected, or installed up here to work for we the people. And I respectfully would like to request that you respond the first time people ask questions so that they don't have to come back, respectfully staying within your 3 minutes. So, I mean, they had to repeat themselves tonight, so that cuts into their time. So respectfully, please respond the first time. Thank you.
Okay. I'm closing public input. Item number 7, Windham High School courses presentation. I'd like to welcome Principal Ryan Karen, who will present proposed new
And just send
courses.
me an email. Just send it to me. Send me a reminder.
Not right here, so it's. That's the procedure.
Just a pause here a moment while folks leave the room. If you all could carry on your conversation outside of chambers, please, that'd be great. Thanks so much. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you. I apologize, I don't have handouts. We had a couple of things come up right at the end of the day that I was spending some time on, but I'm excited to share 3 proposals for new classes for next year, and then I can get you the write-ups, and I'll get those to Chris, and he can share that out with you if you have any questions.
Perfect.
We've talked before about my interest in increasing the number of classes that students are taking while at the high school. Other schools that I've worked at had a 24 credit requirement instead of a 22. I'm not in favor of increasing the credit requirement, but I would like to move in the direction of having a full-time student be a student who's taking 6 classes at all times, 6 out of 8. That would put our students more on par with some of other area schools, and I think it would strengthen their transcripts and create a more academic atmosphere within the building. In order for that to happen, we have to have offer some classes, some additional classes for them to take. So last year I asked the departments to look at some different options that they might be able to put together. Then I hope to be able to share a more robust list with you this year. Due to COVID and the concerns around class sizes, we didn't expand a lot of classes. So this is the first step. So my plan for next year would be to offer the full array of classes that we have in the past. So for the last 2 years, we run our master schedule based on student interest. So we open up the course load and we say, these are the classes we can offer, and then students select, self-select, and then we run the classes that students choose instead of having a rotation of which classes we offer. We decided we'll offer all. So next year we will be offering all of the choice English classes that I'm sure you talked about before. And we'll be looking at offering all the science classes again, where the robotics and AP computer science classes that you all supported a couple years ago are filling up, and they continue to be very popular. So we're excited about that. So the 3 courses that I have that are new, brand new, the first one is an Algebra 1 everyday class. So we're trying to move away from having sub-high school, pre-high school math classes offered at the high school. So Algebra 1 is the introductory math class, and the plan was, with the new math curriculum, was to phase out the transitions class and the foundations class and have the majority of our students entering high school at Algebra 1, with a number of students that take a true Algebra 1 at the middle school level entering at geometry. Due to COVID, due to some different things, we haven't been able to phase completely out, but this year we have phased out the foundations class, so we have a number of students in the transitions class, which is a good starting point. So all of our students starting this year will have the opportunity to get through Algebra 2 in their high school experience, which is high school level math, so we're excited about that. This class that we're proposing would allow for those students that maybe aren't ready for Algebra 1 and in every other day in our block schedule to access the same Algebra 1 curriculum with less students in the class and more one-on-one support. So a traditional Algebra 1 class would meet every other day for 75 minutes. This class would meet every day for 75 minutes with an instructional block and then a lab block. We would award 1 credit of math for the instructional block and 1 elective credit for the lab block. We would build our master so that we could have special education support entering into the lab block, so that students would be receiving the majority of their instruction and their practice with the support of teachers. And then the traditional Algebra 1 class will have the same curriculum. So all students will have access to that true algebra high school curriculum. They would have some of their practice done at home in a traditional manner through homework. So we would look at that as an option, as an opportunity to have the majority of our students starting with Algebra 1 and providing that support for them. We're looking at probably offering 3 sections of Algebra 1 every day, with between 12 to 16 students in each of those sections. And then we would hope to be able to phase into 2 sections and then maybe 1 section. Hopefully we get to a point where we don't need it, we no longer need it. But this will give us an opportunity, one, to be providing true algebra experience to all of our freshmen coming in, and we'll give them the benefit of having Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, and an additional math on their transcript upon graduation. So that's the first class, which isn't a new curriculum. It is a new means of instruction. So be true to the curriculum that we believe in, and then adapt and provide accommodations for the instruction and assessment portion.
Sounds well thought out.
Yes.
Quick question. Can you do this with the staff that you presently have?
We can.
Okay.
We would love to have an additional math teacher, and we'll be talking.
I knew that was coming.
We'll be talking about that, and in the coming weeks.
We did not plan this, honestly.
We could make that. We could make it happen with our current staff.
Okay.
Perfect.
Any other questions about that course? The next 2 courses are courses that are proposed by the Social Studies Department. The first one would be 20th Century Pop Culture. It would be an 11th and 12th grade elective course that could also be a credit recovery course for both the revolutionary ideas and the traditional U.S. history class. So it could be a class on it could be an elective class, an extra class for students to take that would be, if they're interested in popular culture, reading, writing, the social studies aspect of things. They've also designed it in a way that it can cover all of the standards that are covered in the 2 U.S. history courses that are part of our core requirements. So if a student didn't, for one reason or another, didn't pass one of those required classes, instead of retaking a class that they'd already taken, with the work that our teachers have done at really zeroing in on their standards, I could provide the teacher with a list of these 5 students are going to take your class as a remedial option, and these are the standards that they need to show, that they need to demonstrate in order to earn the U.S. history credit. So it looks to me like a fun class where they start with the Roaring 20s and they move forward through popular culture with the essential question: how do elements of popular culture help to shape modern American society? So it would have it, and I was very pleased that they were able to look at creating an opportunity for the credit recovery within that system. We've been very lucky with the allocation of funds for our summer program, so we've been able to provide some remediation supports that are not repeating a class. I'm never a real advocate of repeating a class unless many of the standards aren't met. So ideas like this, they're doing the same work currently with the choice classes for English, so that if a student didn't pass their junior year English class, English 3, and they could take English 4 and then concurrently take one of the choice classes, semester-long classes, to recover those credits. So trying to offer a different selection and have it not be one thing or the other. Not a remedial class. This class would be, I would envision this as majority elective with the opportunity for some students to remediate as well. Cool. And then the last course, also from the Social Studies Department, would be American Politics Through the Movies. And it would be a semester-long class. The rationale for the course would be to increase course offerings at the high school and provide a course that allows students to improve their critical thinking and writing skills while discussing current topics. It would be a 1-semester course to provide students a better understanding of American political systems through the medium of movies. Students would gain knowledge of the American political system by investigating topics such as the 2-party system, the campaign process, politicians, and players. This class could also meet the standards of our, with a little tweaking, of our senior personal finance and citizenship, but we're not there yet. So this would be an elective class the students could choose to take in a semester that would allow them to watch some both feature films and documentary films, and then have discussions about what that, how those help to illustrate the American political system.
Sounds very creative.
Sounds like a course I'd like to take.
So that's what I have today as new. And like I said, we will, some of the classes I brought to you last year, the Women's Studies class, and we didn't have enough students to run that class, so we'll offer that again. We'll offer the Choice English classes. We'll offer a variety of classes in the sciences. So we're running astronomy. So that was something that we didn't bring to you because it had been brought before. And we said, let's see what we get. And we have some students that are interested. So I think that'll come back again. So we're going to take a look at the full catalog and see what we can offer with the hope that we can move to a common understanding. And then a student handbook expectation, if not a policy expectation, that we're at, that students are taking 6 classes while they're enrolled at the high school. That would be my aim.
I just asked Ryan, would the 6 classes include, if kids that, we know we have some of our seniors that are at USM or St. Joe's taking
Yes,
courses?
definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. We would include it was 6 credits. So if they're on pace to earn 6 credits within the school year, and our freshmen and our sophomores are, and then our juniors and seniors, due to some budget cuts years ago, we went to the senior privilege and the junior privilege, and so we have a number of our juniors and seniors that are taking 5 classes, and they're good classes and challenging classes. But when our neighboring school districts are requiring 6 and 7, then I think that we're setting up we're not putting our students in the best opportunity to be successful or to be competitive if they choose to be competitive across different arenas. And I think if we do a really good job at offering opportunities for students to take college courses, AP courses, dual enrollment courses. What I've asked is for some creative courses that would be of high interest, that cover high school standards, but aren't necessary, but are more open to the general student body. And that's what these guys did a nice job putting together for me.
Congratulations to your staff for coming up with this, Marge.
I'll rephrase this one a little different. Are there any financial implications with this? I mean, I love it. I think it's thinking out of the box. I think it's great.
So it is. So it could be financial implications, and it could be it's conversations that we're having within our back team once a month. So is the juice worth the squeeze? So if you're going to offer more classes, you're going to have to offer.
I love that phrase.
So our class size might have to increase a little bit. But if our revolutionary ideas average class size goes from 18 students to 21 students, and there's 6 sections of that, well, then we've got a section of American politics through movies, or 2 sections because it's a semester-long class. So where do we need? Are we comfortable with COVID on? So our class sizes are smaller than they typically are right now because we've got some of those odd-shaped rooms, and we wanted to make sure that everybody felt comfortable and we could do our spacing. So once we are able to get back to our board suggested class size, are we comfortable pushing that to the higher ends of that on our core classes so that we're able to offer some different things? If we're not, or if we have an influx of kids, then there are some budgetary implications of having students take more classes that I think are well justified. I really think that it is.
I mean, I think it's great. For one thing, I think it's enticing. It's not like, you're going to go take modern history. That sounds thrilling, huh? Well, if somebody said, well, you can go take 20th century pop culture. So I think it's excellent.
You had said that the American politics through movies was a semester course. the 20th century pop culture, is that also a semester, or is it full year?
They've designed it that it would be a full year course that students could enter. It's unit created on a unit structure thematically, so that students could enter it at the semester. We're trying to be as flexible as we can to allow students to access new classes.
That's cool.
On design, it's a year-long course.
So I greatly appreciate the effort that's gone into the creativity and creating new options for students. However, I have to bring up the realization that the topic of pop culture and how it has affected our modern culture and American politics could be very touchy, inflammatory subjects for people that don't understand what's being taught or feel that something is being taught in a way that is too one-sided, shall I say. Has your group that is designing these classes talked about those types of issues?
So they're social studies classes, so that's part of it, being a former social studies teacher, finding ways to teach the material through the middle and not too much on either side is definitely a part of what we do. These would both be elective level classes, so you could have permission slips for parents. It's not a course that students would have to choose to take. I don't know how you can have junior and senior level discussions around politics, pop culture, without addressing some of those issues. Mm-hmm. And I think our staff are thoughtful and would be able to manage that.
I could just see that it could become a flashpoint if we don't have good communication about exactly what's being taught in the classes.
For sure.
Thank you.
I just want to say that the social studies class and all the creative classes sound really awesome. I know pretty much any class with movies in it is really popular with kids. I know there's an English class with movies, and a lot of my friends really enjoy that. I think all we need now is a math class with movies. It'd be really good.
All right.
Yeah.
When do students, refresh my memory, when do you start the course selection?
So we're going to try to start the course selection a little earlier this year. We've traditionally in Windham done it a little later than I'm accustomed to, because it was more of a courses were selected and then students chose those. I used Infinite Campus to offer more and then base our master on student selection. Right. So it takes a little bit longer to do that work. So we're going to, in early second semester, we start the conversations we hope that we'll be able to get the guidance counselors back into the classrooms instead of doing things virtually or recorded messages about that process. We get recommendations for core classes from our current teachers to say what level we're recommending for the next level, and then the guidance counselors will go over to middle school. We've worked pretty closely with I've worked pretty closely with Drew and Randy to look at the placement of students because we have levels at the high school that they may not have at the middle school, so we want to try to get that right. So the process we'll be starting. They've already started, really. The guidance counselors and Ms. Mishu looking at what the master might look like for next year and where courses might fall in and what's worked this year and what hasn't worked. And then we'll start bringing teachers and students in early in the second semester.
Excellent. Any other questions for Ryan about what he's brought forth? Pretty exciting stuff. I want to take the movie one too. While you're here, you have a pretty great team, yourself included, at the high school, and we're pretty proud of all of you. We're exceptionally proud, though, of your assistant principal, Phil Rossetti,
Yes.
who has been selected as AP for the state of Maine for the year 2022.
Very, very exciting.
Very excited, and I don't know if you have anything. I know he worked under you as well.
Actually, what's kind of fun about this is actually Ryan initially stole him away from Windham High School when Ryan was principal of South Portland High School, and then I stole Phil back. But I've had the opportunity, as has Ryan, to work and know Phil for many, many years. And he is definitely someone whose practice is entirely kid-focused and who works extremely, extremely hard at all times, all hours of the day to support the kids that not only on his caseload, the kids that aren't on his caseload, in addition to the full-time job of being an assistant principal and all the things that happen with that. Also volunteering his time with the Windham High School football team and being a presence with that group of kids, and just has done an outstanding job. He's an outstanding father. Has a daughter at Raymond Elementary School.
Outstanding husband as well.
Outstanding husband.
Okay.
But has just been been wonderful here in the district. Phil's been here, I think, about as long as I have, except for his short little hiatus over in South Portland due to Ryan. But Ryan left for a little bit, came back, and then Phil came back as well. But you're absolutely right, as a fantastic administrative team. And but again, congratulations to Phil for that honor of 2022 Assistant Principal of the Year.
Right. Please extend our congratulations.
I sure will.
And Phil is watching right now, so.
Phil, congratulations. We love you. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate
Have a
your
great
time.
night.
Okay, where are we? Auditors? Are they
Yep.
joining us?
They are joining us, and they are not here yet because of I think
Are we
Stacy had
early?
told them the 7:40, so can we maybe,
Take a little break?
that would be great.
Okay. We'll take a break until the auditors return, about 10, 15 minutes. Thank you. Welcome back. We good? Okay. Next on our agenda is the auditor's report for 2021, 2022, and I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Howell.
Sure, so we do have a couple new board members that are with us, but every year in December, we invite our auditor to come forward and to talk about the most recent state and federal compliance audit that took place starting in August, if I remember correctly, Ron, starting in August and then running throughout the fall as as Ron and his team were great because with COVID, doing a combination of Zoom meetings, of in-person, and working with all of our staff as we made things happen. But before I introduce Ron Smith, who was from R.H.R. Smith, who has been our auditor this year, I also just want to give a big special shout out and thank you to Stacy Webster and for all of the work that she's done in providing materials and documents, and everyone else in the business office for working with Ron and his team, working through this arduous process as they go through all of our books and really turn over everything and ask some great questions just to make sure that we are staying fully compliant with the rules and regulations that have been assigned with us. So we have Ron Smith, who's here with us tonight, and Ron has prepared a presentation which you have in your packets. In addition, all of you have a copy of our annual audit. And for those of the public who are interested, we will make available, I think, copies on our website. We also do have hard copies within the office if somebody wanted to come in and take a walk through it. So Ron, without any further ado, I'm going to turn it over to you.
I'm going to date myself now, so I apologize.
No, I'm right there with you.
So I'm Ron Smith. I'm principal with R.H.R. Smith & Company. I work with 41 other professionals. This is the first year we've had the pleasures of working with RSU 14. We do, I believe, over 200 school systems in the state of Maine and Vermont. You know, so we know a lot about who you are, we know a lot about what you do, and we certainly were very pleased. You know, again, as Chris said, some flattering words to Stacy and, you know, his team. You know, we were pleased to add you to our resume this year, and I'm certainly here to hit the highlights. I think you guys have like a 7-page handout in front of you. I'm going to hit like the 2 big highlights out of that, if you don't mind, just to get down to the brass tacks, you know, of what it says. And I'm here to answer any questions you guys have too, as well as what's going on out there in the world of education, and it's not getting any easier to educate kids. I think we all know that right now. But certainly, I think that RSU 14 is financially poised, you know, to and in very good shape to weather, you know, that storm and provide quality education services financially. So to hit the highlights, you got our highest opinion, an unmodified opinion as of June 30th, 2021. the financial state of the school system. Last year, you were about $8.5 million of a carryover balance. This year, you're about $10.3 million. How'd you get there? Unspent appropriations. And there's 2 graphs and 2 charts in there that'll literally confirm, on page 8 is an important one, and then on page 2 that I'm going to cover right now, 2 and 8. So I'm going to spend your $10.3 million in state of your plan, that you traditionally have done here at RSU 14. Of the $10.3 million, there's a statute that actually changed this year that allows you to keep 5% of your previous year's operating budget. To put that into a round number for you, about $2.9 to $3 million of a $51 million-ish budget for RSU 14. You guys kept unassigned about $2.4 million, and you used, I believe, $600,000 for tax relief in this budget year that we're currently in right now. The rest, staying to your plan, is that you've got about $7.2 million, and I think last year was about $7 million-ish, set aside for future construction for your school, into a capital outlay that that you're going to spend, I understand, in probably the next few years into some capital construction. So, and that's traditionally what you've done here, is put that money away, with the intent of using that for when that renovation and that school project comes down. That's the money that's going to be used there. So that's really the portfolio of where you're at. You're well within the intent of, the monies that have been unallocated, for the cost of education, and the money that you have is well within that parameter. Plus, the money that you set aside for school construction project is actually consistent, with the law. And unfortunately, when it comes to School Finance Act under Title 20A, there really isn't, as far as like the management of capital. It talks about reserve accounts, and it kicks you actually to the municipal statute. A lot of people don't know that as far as the custodianship and how to spend that money. So you're certainly, again, staying to your plan at RSU 14, and I think financially, you're one of the healthiest districts, that we have out there, and I think that that's good news. And I think you need to be healthily financially now. You've got a bunch of ESSER money coming your way, and as I've been telling you, probably the 3rd presentation that I've done in the past 2 weeks, sitting in front of various school boards right now. Stay to who you are. Because I was there in 2008 when Arrow was around, and there's this injection of stimulus money. We've never seen the likes of this injection of stimulus money now, and with all the money that what's the number that you guys got with ESSER, coming up over the next 2 years?
ESSER 3 is a little over $3 million.
So that's a lot of money. And what I always say is, as you're doing this, and I've seen this too many times, out there and been part of too many of these conversations, that $3 million that you're putting in, and I'm sure you've got a great plan, and you know what? That is wonderful. But stay to who you are with your plan, because a lot of times what we've seen, especially in schools back in 2008, even some now, as you create positions, as you create projects, understand this, that $3 million isn't going to be there in 3 or 4 years. So be careful, because some of these positions or some of these projects that you have, you're going to need to fund those, at some point in time. And it's not, and it is truly a blessing to have that and available to your school to do some wonderful things. Just understand, in 2 or 3 years, that money may not be available for some of these wonderful things. And that's why I say, stay true to who you are, stay to your core. When you need something, that's great that you have that option and that opportunity to do that. And certainly, like I say, I'd argue with this time around with the stimulus package and the infrastructure packages that are coming now, it's once in a lifetime. I don't think we'll ever see something, I hope we never see something, like this again. But very, very clearly, this money will go away in 2 to 3 years. Make sure that fits in your plan, so that we don't have unfunded positions, unfunded projects. So that's probably the message that I bring, and I bring it to all the world of government right now, because I've heard people say, sticking to schools or municipalities, we want to create these positions right now. We really need it because it puts such a strain on our infrastructure. That's great. That's true to who you are, and that was something that you needed before this pandemic, and you needed even more during the pandemic, because that's the strain that you put on, whether it be with a resource officer, information and technology. There you go. That's to your plan. But to say, well, we're gonna go build a new library, or we're gonna hire all these new positions, just be very, very careful out there, with this money, because it's a once in a lifetime injection, and when it goes away, that there could be issues that it creates. And I've already had to discuss some of those issues with some of these future plans, whether it be a municipality or school department. So that's what I would certainly deliver that for a message for you tonight. Good news is, great news. Financially you're great. You've got this money. Certainly it's created a lot of opportunities for your district. You guys are well on your way for a new school renovation, that you've calculated to put that money aside, to ease the burden that you have to put on your taxpayers. I think that that's good planning, for a school system. And I would definitely say that financially and fiscally, that you guys are in very good shape, certainly at RSU 14. So,
Ron, if I could just clarify one thing that was said, though. I just want to make sure that the public, for this year, the $600,000 was actually put into capital expenses, which is school improvement for construction, but it was $1 million that was given to reduce taxation.
Yeah.
And then an additional $1.3 million that was additional subsidy that came in July, if I remember correctly, to put in. But you're absolutely right that much of those funds are for capital improvements that have been set aside for roofs and other future projects.
Yeah. And again, that's just good foresight to have. So to be able to address needs, especially infrastructure, to address the taxpayers too, and provide some relief. What else really can you do as a school board? And that's just fiscally prudent. So.
Great. Anybody have any questions? No concerns.
Can I take these off?
Yeah.
They're fogging up.
You can take them off.
So a couple of things. Yeah, I mean, you've got a good business manager, and it was very nice because I really didn't get a chance to know Stacy before, our relationship, but having a chance to sit with her now. You've got a superintendent that's very engaged, in what goes on. That's usually not the norm out there when you've got your top two business officials out there, because he's the treasurer of the school district, engaged in it. That's not the norm. So like I say, I think that you've got a good 1-2 punch at your school system that understand finance, that understand best practice. There was a couple of management comments that we provided to you all. One was some of the new federal procurement that's being talked about with the state, that we think that you probably, let's look at that and work together to try to beef that up. We've actually had many conversations with Tyler Backus about this very issue. There's been a training. There needs to be more trainings on that, and I think that you guys are certainly, on top of that. And then the other issue was just a reconciling matter with pretty much summer liabilities and with your teacher summer salaries there, about Stacy. She's reconciling, but to the general ledger there were some differences, and we kind of worked through some of those nuances, and I'm pretty confident she's got it, and that won't be an issue going forward. And, and if we're sitting there talking about that as opposed to overspent budgets and misappropriations, these are good conversations to have, and there was none of that at this school system.
You don't want any of that.
You don't want, I'll tell you, I've got a conversation coming up where unfortunately there's some issues out there, and this is not one of them, so that's good news. I enjoy these conversations, so it's a delight to be here and a delight under this situation to talk about this.
Excellent.
So.
Excellent. Well, we thank you for your time. Anyone else have any other questions? Special thank you to Stacy for your coordination again. I think you're probably watching. Anyway, Stacy, thanks for all you do and your coordination with our new accounting firm. So thank you for joining us this evening.
It was a great pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you all too. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to item 9, RSU Crisis Plan 2021-2022. Before we get to the motion, just a review that we had an executive session on 11/17 where the board reviewed the plan with the safety team members. I want to thank the following people: Christine Frostburton, who is the lead, Seth Fournier, Matt Sear, Mike Duffy, Bob Hickey, and Bill Hansen. This team presented the plan, which, for obvious reasons, much has to remain confidential. But I can tell you, from my perspective, so much thought and care was put into this. Based on recent current events, I'm pretty proud of our thoughtfulness with this crisis plan. That's not to say we're perfect, constantly tweaking. But before you this evening is a vote board for the crisis plan, and if there's any public comment, I would entertain that. Seeing none, any board discussion?
I move to approve the RSU 14 crisis plan for 2021-2022.
I second.
All those in favor? Abstain? Okay. 4 in favor. And 2 abstain.
Let me just do the quick calculation.
That's right. The math. The math. I don't think we're there.
Nope.
We're not there. Okay. I think we need to table it then.
We do.
How do we do that, Marge?
I make a, sorry. Okay. I move that we table the motion to approve the RSU 14 crisis plan for 2021-2022 due to the fact there are 2 members that still have not reviewed it, and we don't have enough votes.
So we didn't, and 3 are absent.
And three absence.
Okay. I need a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Now, I should have tabled that. I could have tabled that, but it would automatically go to the next meeting,
So what did you do?
hopefully. No, I should have said when, but usually
all
it's
right.
just tabled,
That's what
so
I-
they should come up at the
okay.
next meeting.
If I can just explain for the public what just happened.
Yep.
Under the RSU 14 incorporation or bylaws, anytime there's a vote, there needs to be at least 500 votes. Different board members are worth different vote numbers. And in order to be able to have a vote and have something pass, it has to be over 500 votes. A Windham vote is worth roughly 130 votes, and Raymond's around 70. And we were not at 500, so
And just to be clear, those votes are based on population.
based on population and based on 1,000 total votes over the 9 directors.
Right. So we will put this back on the agenda for our next meeting. I don't think we'll have this problem for number 10, Manchester School Boiler Project. May I have a motion, please?
I move forward to enter into contract with Mechanical Services of Portland, Maine through Androscoggin Bank in the amount of $126,046.25 to install a new boiler and to complete the scope of work.
Second.
Any public comment? Board discussion? Mr. Howell?
Sure, I'll just, up at the Manchester School up in North Windham, we had 2 beautiful 1973 boilers. You can call them sisters, brothers, pairs, partners, I don't know what you want to call them. And one of the partners suffered a catastrophic failure. And we had upgraded burners. We thought these things were going to last a long time. They were a well-built boiler. They've been there for quite a while. But one went into catastrophic failure, and none of us feel comfortable knowing that one failed with the other one that's the same age going through the upcoming heating season at Manchester without a boiler. So Mechanical Services had a unit. They had the correct burner in Kansas, which was direct shipped, and if this passes tonight, construction will start Friday. And we'll have it ready to go before it gets really, really cold, and because the last thing we want to do is cancel school because we can't heat it.
Okay. Oh, and I'd like to add, Androscoggin Bank was the lowest responsible bidder.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
All those in favor? Oh, I'm sorry, did you have something to say?
Just, I don't know how picky we are based on what's written here and what was read, but when Marge read it, she said the amount of 126,046.25, and it's actually up to that amount. So I don't know how picky we are, I just wanted to point that out.
Oh, true.
Parliamentarian, how do you want to handle that?
We should amend it.
Let's do it.
Okay, I move to amend the motion to read, I will reread it correctly. I move to forward to enter into contract with Mechanical Services of Portland, Maine through Androscoggin Bank in the amount up to $126,046.25 to install a new boiler and to complete the scope of work. And Andrews Goggin Bank was the lowest responsible bidder.
Second, anyone?
Second.
Thank you. Public comment, board discussion. All those in favor on the amended motion?
The motion is amended.
Motion is amended. All right. Continue.
I move to authorize the superintendent to enter into the financing agreement for the lease/purchase of the awarded bid for one new boiler in the amount of, or up to, it doesn't say that, but I'm going to read it that way, $126,046.25 at 1.84% interest amortized over 4 years at an annual cost of $32,378.54, should that be in the best interest of the district pursuant to 20A MRSA subsection 40013 in the format presented.
Any public comment?
Do you want a second?
That would be helpful.
Second.
Yeah. Second would be helpful, thank you.
You're welcome.
How about some public comment? Seeing none, board discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Thank you. Item number 11, appointments. A motion, please. Jessica.
No, Jenny's got her glasses on.
Oh, Jenna.
Yep.
Okay.
I move to approve the following appointments for the 2021-2022 school year. Caitlin Spalding, teacher of the deaf, teacher of the deaf for the district with MA 16 for $66,106.43, prorated to $37,411.66. And Matthew LaBerge, 2/5 music teacher, Windham Primary School, BA 0, $40,709.72, prorated to $9,394.55.
Thank you. Mr. Howe, would you give a brief explanation?
Second.
Thank you. Why don't I want to do a second?
You're trying to cruise us through.
The teacher of the deaf position is a new position for us. It is being funded through funds that were already in the special education budget. Due to the service provider that was no longer going to be able to provide services for some of our individuals, we ended up hiring them from the agency. There is a need for not only someone to work with our students who are deaf, but also to help manage all of the equipment that is necessary to make sure that we're meeting the needs of all those students. And so we're excited to have Caitlin on board and working with us, but this is already existing budgeted funds being reallocated for this position. And the 2/5 music teacher was actually in the budget this past year, and that position is just being filled.
Thank you. Public comment. Board discussion. All those in favor? Thank you. Item 12, policies. May I have a motion, please?
I move to approve the first reading of policy BED, remote meetings.
Second.
Thank you.
Doesn't matter.
For the second. Any public comment? Kate will give a brief explanation.
So this is a new policy at the suggestion of MA, correct? Or whichever acronym, sorry. And this allows for the remote participation of meetings for members of the board, and it can be due to distance, it can be due to weather or any other extenuating circumstances. It is noteworthy that this is related to board members only. It's not, it is not applied to the general public for them to attend remotely. So it is just if board members are unable to attend for some reason, and they could participate remotely.
Public comment, board discussion.
I think this is great. My question is, do we have the technology in place to make this happen for live active meetings?
We do.
We do.
Only because I've done it. I attended my meetings remotely when I was away in this room, so, not
Okay.
school board. So yes, it does work, and it's really slick.
Great.
You have to ask somebody else that was here how it worked, but it does work.
Yeah, we'll have to verify Raymond.
Yes, because right.
Capability, so that's a good point. Yeah. Anybody else? All those in favor? Thank you. A motion for policy BHC, please.
I move to approve the revised reading of policy BHC, Board Relations and Communications with Staff.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any public comment on the motion? Board discussion, I'm going to turn it over to Kate.
Yeah. So in this one, this is an updated policy. So there was some updated language to better clarify and define the role of the school board and the superintendent. There is also some language in there to clarify that administrators work directly with the superintendent, and then the superintendent would then relay to us anything that needed to be brought to the board. That the same is also added for school employees, that they work through kind of their chain and not directly with the school board. And then one chunk that I will read out loud that was added is board communications with staff. And it says, the board will communicate regularly with school staff on matters of current interest and importance to the school community at such times and through such methods as the board deems appropriate. Individual employees and employee organizations are expected to utilize communication channels established through board policies, administrative procedures, and collective bargaining agreement, and not to circumvent the chain of command and their direct supervisors. Communications with staff are the responsibility of the board as a whole. Individual board members should refrain from initiating communications or conversations with staff members on their own as related to board or district operations. So that chunk was added, and then the other pieces that I mentioned were amended to it.
Because we have a current policy and we just made some revisions, we're not going to do a first and second. So does anyone have any further questions about these changes? If not, our vote will make this law. So, okay. All those in favor? Thank you. Item number 13, election of school board chair.
Okay, so nominations are now in order for the office of chair until November 2022.
I move to have Kate Bricks nominated for chair.
Second.
Are there any other nominations?
I nominate Pete Hansler for board chair.
If there's no second, it dies. I did.
Jenny and then.
It dies, there's no second.
I don't know if Pete would.
It's a moot point. Okay.
Right.
Are there any other nominations? If not, the motion to close nominations is in order.
I move to close nominations.
Second.
Okay, any public comment? Sorry. Any board discussion? Yeah.
Okay, I think Kate has done an excellent job to this point. And I'm so glad it's you, not me. But I think she's done that. I think she has really done an excellent job. I think you're a great chair, and I would be very pleased if you remained in that seat.
Thank you.
So, all those in favor? Opposed? Or abstain?
Abstain.
Okay, so I move to appoint.
Wait 1 second.
Wait, oh, sorry.
I abstained.
Are you counting?
I can't.
Okay.
Okay. Then I'll vote for myself.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so do I have to do the roll, do it again?
Just officially, maybe.
Probably a good idea. Do we need to
Do the vote again.
first and second, or do I just say all those in favor?
Do the,
I think you can just do all those in
you
favor.
can do all those in favor.
Okay. All those in favor? Opposed? And there's no abstain, okay?
Yep, one opposed on that.
So I move to appoint Kate Bricks as chair until November 2022. I'm off the hook.
Second.
It doesn't say that you have to do.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
At the bottom.
Public comment. Board discussion. Okay. And all those in favor? And opposed? Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for humoring me through that.
You did well. A lot of moving around. Item number 14, election of school board vice chair. Nominations are now in order for the office of vice chair until November 2022. May I have a nomination?
I nominate Kate, little Kate, I named Kate L.
Second.
Any further nominations? If not, the motion to close nominations is in order.
I move to close nominations.
Second.
Public comment, board discussion. All those in favor?
We need to vote to make it.
No, you can fine without it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. I move to appoint Kate Levier as vice chair until November 2022.
Second. Whoops, she said second.
Public comment, board discussion. Thank you.
Thank you.
All those in favor? And one abstention. Are you abstaining?
I'll abstain.
Okay.
It is odd to vote.
Okay, perfect. Item number 15, report of the secretary. May I have a motion?
I move to approve the minutes of the November 17th, 2021 meeting.
Second.
Any public comment? Board discussion? All those in favor? Abstention? There you go. Okay. Item number 16, committee reports. I don't think there is, unless, nope. How about you?
Just a quick thing, AmFam is happening this Saturday. There's an afternoon show and an evening show, and this is the first time it's happened in person in, I think, 2 years, so definitely try to get out there and watch it if you can.
Perfect. Thank you. Anybody else have anything that, yep?
I just had a question. Are we going to have a curriculum meeting anytime in the near future?
Soon.
Okay, great, thank you.
Item 17, superintendent's report.
Sure, so a couple things, and I just want to reemphasize what Al just said, that AmFam is this weekend. And I know I'm pretty excited about having that return. Last year when I watched it, that's actually the power went out at my house, and we did watch it by generator, but it's not the same as far as being able to do that. So pretty excited to have that return. Also, just a big congratulations and thank you to the cast of Mamma Mia, Al included. The lighting, the sound was magnificent. I was there every night, and I don't think I heard any audio cues or anything missed.
Thank you.
So it was absolutely perfect.
You get to keep the job.
Absolutely perfect, but also our students did an outstanding job, and it was nice to have audiences back in the Performing Arts Center for all those different shows. And I think, honestly, I had one of the best views out back, because while there was a show that was going on stage, there was definitely a show with kids having a bunch of fun backstage, really enjoying performing and being back there again. Also, just want to, for board members, next meeting we'll be going over the district achievement report. I have copies of that for you tonight so that you can take it and then have a chance to review prior to the next meeting. And just want to end with something probably a little bit more somber, which is that last night we hit a milestone with COVID in RSU 14, which is that we surpassed the case count that we had last year. Last year, we were at 152 cases. I think with the letter that probably was scheduled and went out just a little bit ago, we're up in the 160s, and things continue to spread within the community. So just again, people to be mindful of all the different ways that they can make good decisions and help us out to make sure that we continue to keep kids in school, and making sure that we're providing that 5-day-a-week education that we wanted. But one of the most interesting facts that I saw, which obviously everyone's used to Blackboard messages by now that come out, but during the month of November, 130,000 emails went out from all those Blackboard. So every time we send one out, it's about 3,800 people. And it was something like 91 messages that were sent out for different things via Blackboard over this past month. So it's kind of a somber thing that we're 3 months in and we've already surpassed where we were for a 9-10-month school year. And just also, just a big thank you to our teaching staff, our support staff, our administrators, our nurses, and everyone else who is working hard for contact tracing, because it is not an easy thing when a case comes in and trying to determine who's supposed to get what appropriate message based on the SOP. I will share tonight that we're expecting sometime in January some updates to the SOP by the state of Maine. I don't know what they are. We've been told that they're coming, so as soon as any of that comes out, we will make sure that the community is duly updated on that.
Perfect. Thank you. We'll move right into board roundtable. Anyone have anything that they would like to say? No? Go ahead.
At the last meeting, we had briefly chatted about doing a board retreat, and so I just wanted to check and see if you guys had given any more thought to doing that with the number of new members that are on the board. I think it's a great idea.
But not until after the first of the year.
That's,
Yep.
yeah, totally understandable. I just wanted to ask if it was still on the radar.
Yep.
And then the other thing I wanted to bring up was, last meeting we had talked about maybe considering a public workshop to have some dialogue with folks. I think that we've heard over the last few months, at least since I've been on the board, that people are pretty frustrated that they can't engage and have a dialogue, that answers are provided via email, and that people are generally frustrated by it. So I would be supportive of doing a workshop separate from a regular meeting to be able to have the public and parents and taxpayers engage in dialogue. Yes, it should have rules of engagement to keep it civil. But, you know, I think the longer we go with our current protocol, frustrations are just going to get higher than they are now, in my opinion. And, you know, I think we all know that if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, you're not going to get it. It's a definition of insanity, right? So I think we need to change up what we're doing, and obviously probably not until after the holidays, but I think it's something we seriously need to consider. You know, it seems that every meeting, the group is bigger. And there's a lot of frustration on social media about various things. That post that you mentioned the other day on the Windham community page, I mean, that was amazing, the stories that people were telling from 15, 20 years ago, identifying issues with the RSU. So there's obviously some hot button things that perhaps need to have a dialogue versus question and answer via email. That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Yeah.
I thought it was really positive and wonderful to hear such great community support for Mamma Mia. People I know that don't have anybody in the district, don't have necessarily any connection to the school community right now, went to see the show and they just loved it. So that, I think, is fabulous. And again, kudos to everybody and Mr. Howell for putting in his appearances. I do have a question or in clarification, partially with what Char said, but also with what public comment was. frustration by a member of the public saying that we as individual board members didn't respond to his email. I'm concerned because I don't think it's my place to make specific comments or suggestions or talk about specific issues with an individual community member about specific concerns just via email. So I would love if you would clarify to make sure that I know what I'm doing or not doing is the correct thing to do.
Okay, can I add my 2 cents?
Sure.
Okay. As board members, we do not do the daily running of the schools. We create the policies that the administrators use to run the schools. So a lot of the questions that come in, I don't think should be answered by any board member here, because all it's getting is our opinion on whether it was the right thing or it was the wrong thing. And the ones, and I've read them all, and I've watched all the meetings that I wasn't here, so I've heard all the comments, which seem to be repetitive, which is also very confusing because they're asking the same questions you've already answered, because I've read the answers. And I don't know what, I guess the thing is I don't know what they're looking for. They're looking for a different answer than the answer that you're giving them. But as board members, I mean, I answered one, but that was directly asked of me, so I answered that. But if those general things come out, I don't feel that as a board, that is our job to be answering emails back to people. Usually what we've always done, it's kind of depending if what it is, it would be either the chair or it would be the administrator. And I have gone to so many over the years, and Kate has too, we've gone to so many seminars and things with legal, had sessions with legal as to what our roles and responsibilities are as board members. And our role as a board member is to basically put things in place so that our students and our staff are safe. They're in a good facility. They have the right materials. It is not basically getting down to the nitty-gritty of what goes on. So that's why I'm not comfortable answering anybody's email, because I feel like when you do, you're representing the board, and we are not individually the board. We are the board as we sit here. But when we walk out of here, I'm me and you're you and whatever, and if I put anything out there, it's my opinion, and I am not going to do it in the name of the RSU 14 board.
So maybe we can just clarify that individual board members should not be and aren't replying individually to questions. Because, when someone says something in a public forum and says, none of you answered me, it puts us on the spot, and we're not the ones who are supposed to be responding. So I think it just needs to be clarified, or just thank you for that.
I think typically when an email comes in to all of us, you're right, it is the chair. But if Chris is included, most often, he's the one who's responding. And I 159% agree that it is inappropriate for individual board members to respond. We have to respond as a collective voice, not as individuals. And perhaps in the future, when emails go out, I can do a better job, although I think I do it most often by saying on behalf of the board, so that people know you're not going to get something from everybody. You've gotten it from the chair. So maybe that's something that needs to be clarified as well. So thank you for bringing that up. That was concerning if you don't know our protocol for answering emails. So, that's clarified. Anyone else? May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Thank you. Good night.